This is how much we know about movies. We just if you want a raw review of movies, you're getting it right here because we don't know shit.
Dad! Oh, fuck, I don't know, man. Is that like nostalgia purposes for kids these age?
I don't give a shit. I don't care.
We get that, Pop.
Fine, I'll Google it. Through the magic
you don't
of
have
podcasting.
to Google it. I'm just saying, just take it out.
No.
Not bring it out, or just be better prepared.
Shut your fucking mouth.
I am your father.
Man, sometimes I wish like things would stay at a simpler time mentality.
Welcome to the Two Dads Review podcast. Yeah, well, we've got a lot to unpack this week, don't we? Okay, first off, for everybody who's listening and who's like, wait a second, I was supposed to be listening to Interstellar. We'll have to postpone that because Star Trek came up on us way too fast. We didn't get in front of the mics fast enough to do Interstellar. We both watched it, but it's like, you know what? It deserves more time than we had for it, and so we're going to push that off. We actually really enjoyed our time travel series so far. At least I did. Corey, did you mind the time travel series?
Nah, it was cool, but I'll be perfectly honest, I didn't watch Interstellar.
Oh, I thought you started it.
I started it, and then I hit that weird, stomach issue cold thing, and I fell asleep, and I tried it again. I never finished it. And then we were like, okay, we're just going to do Star Trek, and I was like, cool. I'll pick that back up when it comes back around.
Yeah. So don't worry. We will continue our time travel movie review series when all this is said and done. We've got 15 or 14 episodes of Discovery, and then it's going to get a little crazy because the end of Discovery season 2 overlaps by 1 week the start of the final season of Game of Thrones. So it's getting a little crazy there for 1 week. We're going to record a couple, but that'll be fine. We'll knock it out. But yeah, we're excited about this Discovery season. They set up a lot of stuff for the next 15 episodes in this, or the next 13 episodes in this season. They set up a lot of stuff this episode.
Yeah, I mean,
they have to.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to downplay it. It's just watching the episode, and then I watch the little kind of 40-second spiller, that's all fast forwarded of all the stuff that's gonna go on and everything. And right. I was just like, it's like a never ending onion layers. I was like, good lord, there's gonna be so much shit going down in this show.
Yeah, gone are my days of taking that 40-second snippet and going through it, because it's just, there was so much. And that was one of the ones where it's not even next time on Discovery, it's this whole season. So you got little awesome shots for 13 episodes of stuff. So it's
there was only one thing in there. There was only one thing that threw me off, and that was where I saw it looked like Michael and Spock were full on kissing, and not a brother sister goodbye
nice to see you.
Or hello or something like that. And I was like, that just rubs me the wrong way if I saw what I saw.
Yeah, maybe it wasn't. Maybe it wasn't the two of them.
I hope not.
Maybe it's her and Ash. Maybe it's a bearded guy. Maybe it's Ash. Maybe he comes back at some point.
Or maybe maybe it was just it was Spock, and the girl just was short. I mean,
maybe.
The dude that plays Spock is fucking huge.
Yeah, she does allude to things in this episode about how she was the one that made him so distant. I don't know what she did, because he was pretty distant to start off, because he was little sulky baby Spock, little mad pissed off preteen Spock. That's all we saw. This episode was how much can you be a dick, kid?
Yeah, I just hope it's not something and it's so funny too if it is this, because I hope they're not writing some weird brother sister thing, but they're not really related kind of thing or whatever,
You mean every porn?
Yes, dude. I was it's have you ever been on xvideos.com, because everything is a brother or a mother fucking some other part of the family.
Step
it's
something.
Jesus
yeah.
Christ.
It's really bad because it's only the US. If you go there and it's how Pornhub does all their metrics,
yeah,
and
what
it's
the fuck is
popular
wrong with us?
Popular in the US right now, and it's brother doing stepsister. You're this. What is wrong with this fucking country right now?
Yeah, and that's not even that was the video that was clicked on. That is shit that people type the fuck in.
to find. You know, it's not like, oh, this was just a really good porn and someone named it something really weird, so everyone just, like, you know, clicked on it anyways. Like, this was some jackass that was like, Mom? Okay. Probably shouldn't have mom in this search bar to start with, but we're going to finish this sentence. Like, what the fuck?
I can't with this. I can't even with this country sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, I just hope that's, like, I missaw something. And,
no,
that's...
they released their annual, like, most searched for thing by country, and, like, in Japan,
I understand
it's
the
like
porn
manga.
thing. I was actually talking back about the Star Trek.
Sorry, like, we're going
like
on porn.
Like, yeah, I hope that Spock's not really kissing Michael, like the way it looked.
Right, off the porn conversation. I know too much about Pornhub's metrics, apparently. Oh man, yeah.
You were basically on Pornhub, and like where YouTube has like the stats for nerds, you were clicking that shit on Pornhub.
I mean, they're pretty much the same size as YouTube now.
I'm pretty sure they're bigger than fucking YouTube.
Probably. All right, so let's see. So before we start in with the episode and talk about some of the major things that happened, let's go over kind of what we know from the end of season 1 and on, because a couple things were revealed after season 1 wrapped, and they had like, oh, here's a deleted scene, but it's not really a deleted scene because it's canon, so it actually is a thing. So where we left off last season, we know that L'Rell is now holds the Klingon people by the balls. Like, she has them all because she has the command codes for the bomb that's planted in the center of the planet of Kronos. So she is now the High Chancellor. We know the High Chancellor of the Klingons. We know that Ash left with her when she left. Something that was released after the show ended, and they showed like this is a scene that didn't make it in one of the episodes. So Giorgio was approached by somebody, I forget who it was, but she joined Section 31. So of all that weird, like, the designation number on Discovery is Section 31, more because there's, because 31's in the number, or, the guys we saw in the very first episode with the actual ship in it, that had the black badges, and they're like, oh, those are interesting. Those are the Section 31 guys. And actually, that spinoff, I think, has already been confirmed along with the Picard series they're doing on All Access as well. So apparently all of our griping, because of course last week I had to turn back on the CBS All Access subscription, and if you listen to our podcast last season for Discovery, I made sure to bitch about having to pay for this shit every week. But apparently what we had said all last year is correct, that the majority of the income that CBS All Access provides them was when Star Trek was on. And I would love to see, which they'll never release them, but the fact that they have already greenlit 2 more Star Trek shows on CBS All Access. And if you put those at standard, like minimum, like 10 episode seasons, but more likely 13 or 15. I mean, if it's 15, you're talking 45 weeks of Star Trek out of the year, because God, why would you ever overlap them? Because then you would just have folks who just canceled it when things weren't off air. But if you have 45 weeks of Star Trek programming on at all times, then we'll never cancel our subscriptions. Because I'm sure CBS All Access saw, a major uptick when Star Trek started and a major cancellation when it was over last season. And now that they've greenlit these 2 shows, it's kind of, now why would I even cancel it if I'm only going to wait 2 weeks in between episodes?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's provided you like the other shows.
Well, I would watch Patrick Stewart read the phone book, and he's one of the, and everyone, the Picard character, for him to go back and play that again, but because let's not beat around the bush, Patrick Stewart's not a spring chicken. Like, the man's almost 80, I think.
Yeah, no, he's definitely up there in years, yeah.
So giving him the ability, especially when he's at the age of like, I'll just do what the fuck I want to do, because he really is, to give him the opportunity to play that character again is like nerd boner city, like all over the place. He was born in 1940, so that makes him 79 right now. So yeah, he definitely need to get him going. You know what I'm saying? Get him, if he's gonna do it, now's the time, because there is nothing else after this. Like he's on his way out. Except friggin' William Shatner's still kicking around. He's like he's like in his 90s, I think. Like he still like has horses, and it's crazy.
Yeah, but he seems like he's just lived a happy life.
Oh yeah, he was born in 31. Holy crap! So he's, what is that, 89? I think, if I'm bad at math, probably.
I don't do the math so well.
But it's like 89. That's 87, 88, something like that. He's up there. So yeah, so it's good. I'm excited. This may make our annual list of things to podcast on fairly easy. We'll have very little to fill in the middle if we don't find something else, especially with this being Game of Thrones last season. So yeah, that's definitely coming down the pipe. I don't know when. I don't think they have start dates for any of these things. I wouldn't expect them for a couple of years, but I know the Picard one is at least in pre-production, and the Georgia one's been greenlit. So
that's pretty cool, though.
Yeah. So to round it out, so at the end of the very last episode, when they had wrapped everything up, and Michael had done her giant weird monologue in front of the Federation Council and like all the people who were attending the award ceremony, they were out flying around. They got a distress call. We got to see the Enterprise. We're all super stoked, and then we knew that Captain Pike was on board and wanted to come aboard the Discovery. And from them seeing it was the Enterprise, you could tell the end of last season that there's something interesting, in air quotes, between her and Spock and Sarek. Like the looks that her and Sarek exchange on the bridge when the Enterprise like shows up in front of the Discovery is like, oh, we know who's on that ship. And it wasn't like, oh, hey, it's my son and it's my foster brother. No, it's like, oh shit, it's him. So you could tell last season there's something there, and they do more in this episode. This first episode of season 2 to kind of tease that. They still don't tell you anything, but they let you know something is definitely there and wrong with with that group of people. So
there's something weird, and
some of me.
I just wish I didn't catch that screen cap picture thing they fucking showed at the end, because.
Is that all you're focused on right now?
It's like all I can think about now, and it's like almost ruined the episode for me, because I'm like, man, if they do some weird incestuous not brother, but we're like, we fell in love, I'm just like, Michael doesn't, like, I just don't know how this like would contribute to her character and or story. And like, I know I'm not a Star Trek writer, and I know I'm probably hung up on something stupid, but like, it just bothered the piss out of me, because I was like, I feel, one, she's already been through like a ton of stuff, and love isn't really been her forte, but you could have done so many different things. Like, she didn't need to be incestuous, or she doesn't need to be raped or whatever, she could just be like, I like being fucking single or something, or like what I'm saying.
It almost cheapens the like girl power that she's got going.
Like I just hope this isn't just something dumb like he was. I had one crush, before, and it was my brother, and now that's why I'm so fucking weird. He's not really my brother, but that's why I am the way I am too. Plus, I was raised by Vulcan, so I got all that kind of bonkers shit going on too.
Right. Yeah.
So, anywho,
right, yeah. I almost want to like stop and like go watch the trailer to make sure to like ease your pain in case it's not him or it's not her, one of the two. Do you want me to take 30 seconds to go find it?
No, that's fine. I'll pull it up right now.
You can pull it up right now. Send me the screen cap as you're looking for it.
I am.
So a lot of stuff got set up this episode. We met new people. We met people we've been waiting to meet. We met new characters. Okay, let me put it this way. We met people we knew we were going to meet, like Pike. We didn't meet who we expected we were going to meet, which is Spock. We know who's cast as him. We've seen him in production stuff, but we didn't get to see him this episode. We get to meet who is, rivalry to Tilly's comic relief is that engineer that we meet later on that was on the asteroid. She's funny. She's a comedian by trade, like the actress. So she's funny and her delivery is fantastic. And I laughed at pretty much everything she said, but I like the new engineer, the one they, the commander from that ship. I don't know how long she's on. I think she's going to stay on Discovery from what I understand. I think she's a full cast member, but who knows? Tilly was in good form this episode. I think I almost, and I hate saying this because we crushed on her so hard last year, or at least I did. I almost felt like I almost felt like they almost like pushed it too hard.
Nah, dude, like she nailed.
No? Okay, good. Well, no,
no,
I'm not saying she didn't nail it. I felt like they almost gave her too much. We know what Tilly is, and I felt they like took that up and turned it up even more. And I'm like, just a little bit.
No, but it makes sense for her to be like even more super ramped up because of all the bonkers stuff that has like happened to everybody.
Yes, it was a rough first year for that cadet.
Yeah, and like everything is changing, so for her to be a little more all bubbly to the people that she's super close to, like Michael and the doc, and even like when she gets like authoritative on the bridge, that's a whole new Tilly.
I'm drunk on power.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. So they started out with like this black and white, like old film style opening, and Michael's doing a monologue. She actually starts it out with the space, the final frontier. Like, I thought they made it, and then she's kind of went on to her monologue about it. She told a story about it's one of the African tribes, like one of their stories on how how the stars became where they were and stuff. And she kind of had this whole thing. And as she's telling this, as she's monologuing this, you see young Michael when she first comes to Sarek and Amanda after her parents are killed, in her first interactions with Spock, which don't go so well. I mean, that kid, whatever the name of the kid is who plays young Spock, like, just his like resting bitch face was amazing.
Yeah, man, but I think you do that to anybody's eyebrows, and they instantly go from like kind of relaxed to just permanently annoyed. Right. From like the tip of the nose up, no matter what. Like, you can't change any part of your eye to like even if you just opened them as wide as you could, like you would still just look even more annoyed, but you're trying to be comical about it, right? Like,
right.
I'm so annoyed, I'm going to illustrate how annoyed I am with you right now.
Yeah, that was rough. Something I wanted to bring up that we saw. So his room is fairly, at least whatever room he was in, whether it be a playroom, if Vulcans even have a playroom, but there was a 3D chess model, or not a model, but an actual 3D chessboard that was sitting in the middle of the floor next to where he was writing. And it's spoken about a lot during the original series that he's like they play 3D chess all the time. Like, it's his big thing. Like, he loves 3D chess. That was that tiered chess set you saw sitting on the pedestal next to where he was writing. I was trying to like see if there was more shit on the walls, like on those shelves. It was like things that I could pick out that were like old school, like, oh, that's a friggin' whatever, and that's from this thing. But there wasn't anything else that I noticed on the wall, nor did I find on the internet. So the 3D chess thing was pretty cool. And then like I kind of dug that like board he was drawing on, and he had the big giant dragon that he threw into the CG 3D dragon that he threw at it, and then it ended up flying around and trying to scare her or whatever he was doing.
Yeah, just to let you know, this is what I think of you.
Yeah, you're a dragon. Get out of my house. And then like she's good on her, man, because she's like, hello, and sticks her hand out, and like he just like closes the door in her face. It's like, damn, dude. But that memory flashes, that door shutting brings Michael out of her flashback, and they are trying to talk to the Enterprise. It doesn't have any sort of signal. So as like, in perfect Tilly fashion, all the arguing on the bridge going back and forth suddenly dies down right as she runs in, and she's like, "Have you tried Morse code?" And everybody's like, and then she gets a nice little joke with it. But they contact the Enterprise, and Stamets makes a comment that he's been on the Enterprise, he knows the guy on the Enterprise, and for it to be as busted as it is, something bad had to happen to it, like real bad. So the Morse code works. They say that Captain Pike's coming aboard with an engineer and a science officer. And that saying science officer makes Burnham and Sarek do that same look from the end of episode of season 1, where they're like, "Oh, we know who's coming aboard." Like, oh shit.
Yeah, it's really happening. Oh man,
we got to handle this now. So Michael and Saru head to the transporter room. This is kind of cool because Saru comments on the fact that he can tell that he can sense that her endocrine system is in overdrive and asks if she's anxious about seeing her brother. And she kind of blows it off. And then I just like how he sniffs and goes, okay. Like, you sure you can blow it off, but I know you're super anxious.
Okay, I don't think that's Spock, so I feel better.
Oh, what?
Them kissing. I think that's what's his face.
Oh, are you watching it right now?
Yeah, I was as you were talking, I was trying to capture the still, or like real quick, but it happened so fast that I can never quite get his face enough to like completely make it out.
You think it's Ash?
Maybe. It looks I mean, they both have like the same kind of beard, which kind of
they do,
which makes it a little difficult. But I think the hair was a little different, so I don't know. But I'm not going to swear.
Are you satisfied?
No, it's now not clear enough in my brain that I can just throw it away as I'm not sure what I saw anymore. But when I first saw it, I was hunkered down, man. I was about to die in that hole. I was like, oh no, no. I was like, this may be the last time I watch this show if they go this route.
Like I can't do this anymore. I can't do it.
It's just stupid. I like when Tilly came though in this part of the episode, because they have like the alarms going off and she's coming in trying to tell them the Morse code idea, and it's all super loud and all the alarms and everything go off and everyone's just looking at her and she's like, you guys
were talking and then it all went away.
I have a solution. I have an idea.
She's awesome. So let's see. So Saru and Michael get to the transporter room. Oh, actually, before they get to the transporter room, I only wanted to bring this walk in the hallway up. I wasn't even going to bring it up, but Michael inquires about if Saru has any siblings, and he says, I have one, sister. Her name is Sarana, and we actually met her. If you watch any of the short treks that came out over the last few months, the Saru, when we met his sister, and just we happened to meet her. That's all I'm saying. Watch the Saru when it gives you the story of how he got off his planet. If you and I asked that question way back in season 1, and you should watch it because you're the one who was like, I want to see how their predator, I want to see what their prey does and how it works. And it's way different than we thought it was going to be. So you actually need to watch that short trek because it's pretty cool. I'll have to get it over to you. Actually, no. It should be on the CBS All Access now, so you should be all right.
Cool,
But
I'll check it out.
Now that we've turned it back on and paid the subscription, damn it. So, but then Saru says that there is terrain between us that we cannot navigate. Between him and his sister, and Michael says she knows the feeling. So that just gives us a little bit more insight into whatever happened between her and Spock, and whatever she did to cause this rift between him and the rest. I mean, it's literally between him and the whole family, at least her and Sarek, because both of them say later on that they haven't spoken to him in years. Like, that's crazy. Like, just like years they haven't spoken to him. So
yeah, but is that really that weird for a Vulcan? Like,
I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
Like they kind of seem like they could go years without speaking to someone, especially if they haven't gone home or, like that the whole year thing doesn't really bother me. Like I get it that it's kind of, oh man, they both haven't talked to him, blah, blah, blah. But
what could be so wrong?
Yeah, like I just think that that's not that crazy for Vulcans in general, probably to not speak to people for, a couple years, especially if they seem to be the type that, well, their species in general seem to be the type that can get really focused into their work.
True. Well, I mean, and if they're sticking anything to what's canon, like his denial of being offered a spot in the Vulcan Science Academy, and him turning it down, put a big, red X on his dad's name for a while with the Vulcan, high command type stuff, like with the Vulcan bureaucrats, because of, not only did we offer this halfling this spot, but he turned it down. So why is your son such a dick?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I get there's all, like, there's whatever between him and Michael, and obviously, like, the whole what he chose versus what his dad wanted him to do and that stuff. I get that whole thing, but given that knowledge that they all kind of have some stuff. Like, it's not surprising to me that they haven't spoken for years, but I also don't think it's all like, I don't think that comment was really like something that crazy. I think it was more like, hey, have you spoken to him? And him being the Vulcan that he is, he was just like, no, it's been years. You know, like, why would we talk? We had our discussion. We argued about it. And he chose his path. Like, right? Like, you know, we're done. And then obviously whatever we don't know about their backstory. So there's, you're kind of like, all right, well, why haven't you guys spoke for years? I mean, I get it why Dad and Spock don't. Like, they're just two stubborn ass people. And Dad wanted this and Spock wanted that. So I don't know. It's
So, well, and then, you know what? Now that I think about the scene later on with Sarek talking to her in her room, he does seem to be more nonchalant about it, but she's like wrecked over it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, they also make it seem that like her and Spock as children, or at any time, like ever got along. Like, that's kind of the way they painted the picture, except for that one like split moment you see him smile in one of her flashbacks.
Right. Exactly. You're right. They played it off as something that he had done from the get go, but then later on, like she says, you know, I'm the one that caused it. So we know that she thinks she did something to cause him to be, for the rift to still be there to this day. So that's really what we're going to get at, I think, at some point.
Yeah, and I think that's what we're going to get at it. And I just like, part of me is kind of thinking this whole thing isn't going to, it's like, it's not a crazy big deal.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's going to be like Spock's like, I am how I am. They have their little conversation like, I've always loved you or whatever, you know.
As a sister.
Yeah. Yeah, right? Like, but that just kind of normalness, and then she hears it because they're in some kind of dire need, and of course they make it all out and everything's all like hunky-dory. Yeah. And
or it'll be one of those situations where it's a big misunderstanding and they've been at odds for years because someone didn't explain something. That's the worst kind. You're like, well, that was a bunch of nothing.
Yeah, and that's what I think this is going to be.
Yeah.
Like that, exactly what you just said. You nailed it. Like, and I think we're going to watch this, and it's going to probably be the one thing out of this season that I feel like they're going to choose to kind of not focus on, because they do a really good job of telling like unique stories also with a nice, cool arch connecting it all, you know, but it's going to be one of those things that like they kind of just bring up, or it'll seem like it's just brought up unnecessarily at a moment in time or something. And you're like, okay. And then when it all gets said and done, you're going to go, that's why you guys pinged this thing like fucking 35 times during this season. That was dumb. We didn't need that. And it didn't need to be there at all.
Yeah, and it's not the first time for that. Last season, while a great season, wasn't perfect. There were things that we found lacking of it. You know, the whole Ash Vogue story that people were picking out right away, and then there was a whole like, you know, it was like, okay, do we have to go that far into that? I'm trying to think of some of the other stuff we griped about, but we didn't like the fact they killed Culber either. And I don't, but there are some things this season where it's, especially from the 42nd this season on Discovery that you're talking about, where he talks about things aren't completely dead, or things aren't, what does he say? Something to that effect. So like I said, we had a theory last season that he was going to magic Culber either back out of the mycelial network to like be alive again or something, or at least he was going to be like a constant, like the actor would still, like the actor who played Culber was still going to be around to like sit on his shoulder and talk to him. You know what I'm saying? Like he was going to like have his sit downs with him.
It's something like that. It'll either be like he's in the little network, you know, with his little head device clicked in, or this new gravity spike thing that they found that also seems to be like a never-ending power supply from it almost sounds like it's the creation of something as well. Like, you know, if he, like you were saying, how did he describe it? You know, nothing's ever truly gone or dead.
Right, something like that, you know, exactly.
Like everything's eternal energy just moving on to its next phase. Like basically all I got to do is find wherever his particles are at and reverse them, kind of magic kind of thing. Like, and all of a sudden they've just found this wrecked ship with a crew that's stuck on this asteroid or meteor or whatever it was. I forgot actually which one it was. I think it was an asteroid. But it now, like as Tilly was saying, that they've found basically dark matter, like something that's not supposed to exist but does exist, you know, like no one can ever physically touch it. Like they found the center of one or some shit, you know. It's like, oh, okay, well, if we're going all kinds of future science with that, then yeah, and Homeboy can easily come back.
It is what she actually looked up what she said, because I was not familiar with the term. So we'll jump ahead a little bit when she's talking to Michael about the asteroid that she was on. They both come to the conclusion that the asteroid is not made up entirely of, or is not made up at all of baryonic matter. And baryonic matter is matter that is composed of protons and neutrons. It's literally, it's just a way of saying standard ordinary stuff you could, like, matters, like in our universe, like things I can touch and hold. Like, it's not made up of that, it's made of something else, which is why the transporter couldn't get a lock on it when Burnham was holding it in her hand.
Yes.
So so there's what they're saying is that asteroid is impossible. Like, that doesn't exist, but it does. We're looking at it, can touch it, but it's not there. It is not what we normally consider matter, and it gets Tilly all fired up, all science fired up.
Yeah, because I think that's when she was saying that they could possibly discovered like the physical, like, dark matter.
Yeah, something about like an unending supply of power or something like that. Like, yeah, something. It's something sciencey.
Yeah. So if okay, I'm gonna shoot my little bit of pseudoscience Neil Instagram knowledge that I kind of maybe remember. Like, I think the way it goes is like something of the known universe, like 98% or something like that, like, is dark matter. And then there is like matter, but then the dark matter sits in like this, like, in it's known, but no one's ever seen it, touched it, blah, blah, blah. And there's like no way to like handle it.
Okay.
And what I think they're doing in this show is they've basically like found the thing or whatever would happen to make this known substance that no one has ever physically been able to shift, move, or manipulate it in any way. Like, they've found a way to basically manipulate the rest of what the known universe is supposedly in or made of or whatever, you know, like that kind of unknown cosmic goo that binds us all.
You're actually not 85% of matter in the universe is supposedly dark matter.
Okay. I knew it was something staggering, just like an insane amount of, you know, given, especially when you really kind of start doing the little, like, okay, if I'm this big to a glass and a ship's this big to a boat, and you start just like kind of thinking of things that are bigger and bigger, and all of a sudden you're like, that's fucking 85% of space. And I've seen one of those pictures of just a corner of space that's just lit up like a 4th of July times a billion. It's like, oh my God. And then that's only 1%. So you're telling me there's like, it's like, it's terrifying, dude. All I can think of when I start to like really think of like how cool that science kind of is, but then also how really never ending so far space is, or, you know, whatever magical cosmic infinity loop we're all stuck in and being recycled particles and power. But it's like, you see that picture of the person like floating in the ocean and they're all by themselves, and then it's just like light, and then it's just this like giant black abyss, you know, underneath it. And you're like, why would I ever get in the ocean again after seeing this picture? Exactly. That's what this is to me. I'm like, we're just absolutely nothing. We do not matter whatsoever in the grand scheme of things. I was like, we're not even a speck anymore. Yeah. It's so small.
You lay awake at night thinking about that shit, don't you?
Dude, it will wake, like, I will watch something that is all about like scientific theory of some sort, and I love watching that stuff, and I really wish that I was smart enough to just understand it better. Not even like be smart enough to say, hey, I got a field in that, like, you know, I'm one of those guys, but just be like, you know, smart enough on the general basis to understand most of that stuff. But yeah, like I'll get to thinking about it and I'm like, this is a rabbit hole my brain should have not gone down. Like, good Lord. Like, can you think of the blah, blah, blah possibilities of this? Or, you know, or the worst ones that'll ever happen for me sometimes is every so often, once in a blue moon, I get a little sliver of sympathy for myself for being a diabetic. And I'll read some fucking like genetic manipulation or, you know, limb regrowth or blah 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 within diabetes, and I'll just like daydream for like 3 fucking hours just kind of monotonously doing shit, just thinking of having like a functioning pancreas. Not that I could even like go drink a Coke again because it would taste so terrible on my taste buds after this many years away, but it's just like I would have to take a shot. Like, oh God, it's so fucking cool. Like, and I will daydream about dumb shit like that because I've watched some or read some crazy ass science article. Right. I'm like, I was born in the wrong era.
Your brain never ceases to amaze me. What you get stuck on.
Right? Yeah, dude. I wish I could find a way to like channel it better.
Yeah, well,
I feel like I got a lot of like. I'm not saying they're important or life changing things. It's just like interesting stories that I need to figure out how to get out of my brain and like onto words or pictures or something, you know?
Onto words.
Well, like, have you ever like, well, no, okay. Like, I know that sounds stupid, but what I mean is like, you know, you'll have an idea for something and like, you can even have like the name of a character or whatever. And you'll just go to write, it was in a dark bar on 17th Street, and then you just stop and like you already have like writer's block or you can't go, like you just does it and you're like, well, what? Well, I mean, I got the idea, but like, how do I get it going?
Right.
Or whatever. Or you'll have an idea in your head, and I really don't know how to describe this one, but it's basically just like a flexing, floating, like
mass
morphine massing blob, and in your head it makes perfect sense. But at no point can you get it to stop long enough or to see shifting that you can pick out information from it to then translate it, you know, but right. You're like, I got it. It's $1 million idea. But as soon as I figure out how to fucking put it down on this piece of paper, whoo, are we golden? And I cannot do that.
And that's why I'm still not rich.
Yeah. That's why all the people that have like money from shit like that were the ones that were able to pluck them out of their brain.
True. Well, maybe one day you'll be rich. You'll get it out of your head.
I don't even care about being rich. I just want to be able to do it. Like it's just like I can't. I'll get it going, and then it's just, or like I can't get it going. You know, that's what I'm saying. Like that's why I'm glad we do this, because this is just me, just over and over. You know, like there's no. I don't have to like pause and think about it or any of that. This is just going. I wish I could type like that, and then have someone that liked me enough to go take out all of the bullshit and then make it like, and like pull out the cohesive parts that needed to be there.
Right. Yeah. All I do is pull out your incohesive audio. I'm not writing the shit down for you.
Yeah.
I only do half of that. That's just what I do to the editing. Oh man. Okay. So back to Star Trek. I know you got on a tangent. So we meet Captain Pike. What did you think of him? What did you think of him overall? We saw him for a good part of the episode. What did you think of the captain overall?
I like him.
I think he's doing a good job. Have you ever seen the original portrayal of Pike and the pilot that was never aired, and also they showed the same thing when it came to an episode later on in the original series. And there's been a different Pike in the Kelvin timeline, but I thought this guy did a pretty good job.
Yeah, man. No, I don't know about any of this other stuff that you spoke of.
I'll tell you more later. That's to do with the fortune cookie. We'll talk about that in a minute.
But, yeah, like, he played a super sweet captain. Like, I liked it. Like, I mean, I didn't know what to expect, so it was cool that I don't have any kind of, like, other references to it. This was just like, here's the new guy. Go check him out. So, I mean, I like that. And Arts and Mount, he's cool, man. Like, he is a guy, because I loved him in Hell on Wheels.
Right.
And I've seen some of like the videos he does, or like, you know, his just public feed or whatever, but he just kind of seems like one of those guys that is good looking, like super laid back, happens to be a talented actor, but he's kind of like Keanu Reeves-esque. Like, he's just a good guy. You know, I've never like super checked into his background or anything, but there's nothing bad about him. But he always just swagger, man. He just oozes.
He does have some swagger.
Like he just oozes it, dude. Like, he's just a guy that, like, if he's trying to be kind of funny, he's funny. If he wants you to feel like cocky and confident, like he can do it with a fucking wink and like a click of his finger at you, and like, yeah, like he's
got enough. I like that he has enough confidence that when Saru has to turn over the ship to him and he has to give his DNA on the bridge until he screws it up and puts his entire file on the main viewer, and he's like, no, leave it up there. He's like, this is me, guys. Like, I'm your new key. I like the fact that when they wrote Pike for this one, that he realizes like this crew he's about to take control of, like, they're kind of fucked up right now. Like, they had a rough patch. And everybody, you can't trust your captain. You're in a mirror universe. It's fucking crazy. People are dying left and right. And then they drop a new captain on them. And like, I like the way he did his, like, welcome to me speech on the bridge.
Oh, yeah. Like, that kind of reminded me of, like, a boss taking his door off.
Right.
You know, and being like, it's an open door policy, blah, blah, blah. But this just happened to be, like, an actual visual representation of it. You know, and I like how he kind of called out at the very end, you know, like, hey, I'm not that guy, the guy we won't speak of. Like, I mean, even, you know, like,
right.
It shows that he's confident, you know, like, I don't have anything. And I didn't really, to me, I didn't take it as like, I have a nothing to hide kind of thing, because I just felt like he was, how do I put this? Like, they didn't need to do the whole, like, clean sheet thing with him, right? Like, you just needed to see him, like, by honest, you know, him going, I'm getting in the fucking shuttle. Like, I'm going down there with you. Like, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's funny because Tilly made it happen, right? Like, if that scenario would have came with any other character, it would have been, like, everyone watching it would have been like, ugh, we don't need this, right? Like, because you can already tell that by the way he's acting, he's a good dude. Like, right. and like, he oozes, like, I'm here to protect my people. And, you know, of course, there'll be that little feeling out thing. But at no point from the moment he walked on the ship, even by the way his character walk and the way they film him from camera angles and stuff like that, did they put any kind of really secrecy to him.
Right.
You know, like the last captain, like even he was always in a dark room filled from Batman angles and like always was brooding. You know what I'm saying? Like he just came off as strict and down to business and da 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 da. And like if these two seasons were the NFL teams, the first captain would have been a coach who's with ownership. Like whatever ownership says, he's like, okay. The new captain is like, I'm a player's guy. The players love me. If I got the player support and we're winning, you know, unless we just have a really bad year, like numerous years in a row, like I'm good. But he always has the team. Like the team always has his back. And like, that's what you see. Like, yeah, everybody hunkered down and, you know, got behind him. But this guy is just a dude that you instantly kind of just gravitate and root for. You know, it's just completely different vibes between them.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he, during their walk to the bridge, he sets up, like, the overarch for the season. So you had these 7 red bursts that appeared in a certain part of space or over a large chunk of space that, like, they turned on. Everybody got a chance to go, oh, shit, what's that? And then they disappeared again. And so they had, like, they marked, like, where they were. And there's one that, like, they could still lock on. And that's what they're trying to, like, get to go investigate. Another anomaly, which I like his, like, little dig at Burnham. Like, last time we investigated a suspicious anomaly, we went to fucking war.
Yeah.
And she was like, that's, like, thanks, bro. So he, you know, that's his thing. He calms the crew. Spock didn't come over. There was a little bit things about, like, we keep our expectations low. Like, and it was like, I don't know if it felt like more of a dig at Spock than it probably should have been. But he was, you know, Spock was definitely not coming over, and from the Enterprise. We learn later he's not even on the Enterprise. So that was interesting. They also mentioned the uniform colors. So the big thing when Discovery first came out was that folks were like, why the fuck aren't they wearing the yellow uniforms? Like, if this is taking place during the Pike years, like even on the unaired pilot of Star Trek, like they had the colored shirts for everything. And I think we mentioned it last season, but there was a book that came out that's canon for Discovery that's called Desperate Hours, I believe is the one that I'm looking at right now that has the information. But they work together, like the Enterprise and Discovery have worked together before in the past, and they mentioned that certain ships get certain uniforms, they try out different things, and so they comment here that the red and yellow and blue are all the new uniforms. But then his engineer that he brought over is like commenting on how like nice Discovery is. They're like, oh, I see where the Federation puts their pennies, because they were like, the way they're walking them is like through a really bright and shiny portion of Discovery, with open wall, open, like you can see like shuttles and shit moving back and forth. And they're like, yeah, we'll walk you through this part of it. This is the nice walk. This isn't one of the dark hallways from last season. Like, this is nice and bright and pretty.
Well, yeah, but also you got to remember they have normal vision on, so that like
they're not running black
they're
alert.
not running like probably 40% capacity of light like they were across the ship last year, because he probably like fiddled with all the lights across the whole ship.
True, you're right. It should be brighter all the time
it
now.
should be brighter everywhere.
Speaking of black alert, now that I've mentioned it, because we were talking about the 42nd this season on Discovery, we see they do use the spore drive at some point in this season, and I love that they showed like Pike's reaction, like as they came out, he's like, huh. And Saru's like, everybody remembers their first time.
Yeah.
So that'll be a fun episode. I got a good feeling about the whole season just from that little like snippet. But another big problem another big overarching issue for the season is Stamets dealing with Culber's death. Now that the war is over and it's peacetime, all these characters are going to have certain things that they're, everything in season 1 was all external. It was the people we know responding to external stimuli, whether it be war, fight, survival, anything. That's what everybody's doing. Now that it's peacetime, all of those characters who had to like shut all of their normal shit out, now they have a lot of internal shit to deal with. So now Burnham gets to deal with this shit about Ash more. She gets to deal with this stuff about Spock she's put behind her for a while. Stamets has to deal with Culber's death like majorly, and he is not doing well. He's watching videos of like that he's recorded him like while he's at work. Like that was the biggest surprise to me, is like that he's doing that like standing there at his station.
Yeah, but also like 2 seconds later you find out why though. Like
he doesn't really have a job right now because they're not using the spore drive stuff.
Well, they're not using the spore drive stuff, but then he tells Tilly that he's going to the Vulcan Academy. So if they're not using his shit and no one's down there doing any sciencey things, and he's
so why are you taking up a station in engineering? Damn it!
Yeah, right. Like it's just so for him to be all zoned out right there is almost like exactly probably what someone
would do
given that situation would be doing. It wasn't like, dude, did you fucking come to work drunk and you're driving that forklift? It was like, oh, we're literally just shutting down your sector. What do you want us to do with all this shit? He's like, I don't give a fuck, put it in storage. Like, we're not using it anymore.
Yeah, and I understand the need for this arc completely, but it also kind of bugs me, and especially if all it takes is them sucking in like this. If all it takes is this asteroid discovery to like turn him back around, because he seemed fairly turned around by the end of this one episode. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but if it's the stuff we're talking about, like
it could bring Culber back. Yeah,
it's like he's got all of the Infinity Stones all of a sudden. Like
he's Thanos.
Well, think about it. Given his like neural network now, because he's basically become
his connection to the mycelial network.
Yeah. Like Encyclopedia Britannica in 95, like he fucking knows everything, right?
Right.
And then
only about 4 people who listen to this.
Yeah, good.
We'll get that reference.
I'm hoping more people around my age listen to this, so they'll fucking know what we're talking about. But like, if he then gets what I'm just going to call dark matter, it's like he is God. Like he's now like creation, you know, it's, and especially with his comment of, you know, you're never truly dead. Like he already believes that. Like, so he is already gone necromancer. He's like, I'm going to find a way, you know, and even though he gave the spiel about, I've lived lifetimes here on the ship and done everything I can. And now I'm going to go teach. All I would think that would be really for him is a ploy so he can go do something that is not taxing on him. So then he can sit there and play around in the network and go figure out what he wants to do, you know?
It makes sense.
So I think it also is kind of neat because you saw Tilly leading the charge and he kind of, you know, made the comment like, you didn't even invite me. And she's like, oh my God, I thought you're gone, blah, 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 blah. Like,
I thought you were Mr. Sad Pants for the rest of the time. I wasn't going to bother you.
Yeah, right. Like,
you're kind of a downer at parties.
I pinned the tail on Eeyore and you just still weren't happy. So, all right. But I think now you're going to kind of see him take on like a Zen-like mentor role here, and Tilly is going to kind of end up becoming our de facto science-y kind of like person, right? And she's going to kind of lead the charge with this, and he's going to be the dude that found the network, and then she's going to be the lady who becomes the captain that finds this, and then when she's captain, he'll be like the most emperor of doctors, you know, everywhere, and it'll be on like their ship. And then you're going to start to see like the super group,
right?
You know, because like all of a sudden Michael's back, you know, or whatever. I'm just saying, like, when they do that whole like, because you know you'll catch an episode like where it's like 40 years in the future, blah blah blah, or something like that. But yeah, like I think now he's definitely back in because the God particle thing is like in play or whatever, and
it's another mystery for him to solve because he's pretty much figured the mycelial network out, right?
Yeah, and the fact that Tilly was kind of his shadow last season, she's gonna be the one that is like, he's got, like, how do I put this? Like, he's going to kind of be the guy that's like sitting there trying to figure out all the hard conceptual math and like overthinking shit because he's in the network. And not that she's going to do anything like, oh, this is the easy way. Did you just try restarting it? You know, it's not going to be that, but she's going to sit there and watch him do stuff. And she's going to be the person that's able to put the pieces together and go, oh, that's what we're doing wrong. And like, she's going to be plugging it in, and then all of a sudden she's going to like be leading the charge because she's going to figure out how to use him.
Right. Because as awkward as she is, it's proven time and time again that she is smart as shit.
Yeah.
She is super smart. And like, as soon as she can, like, he's gonna sharpen her. She's super smart on a broad, dull scale, like not dull meaning like, but he is going to sharpen her to be the brain weapon that she will end up becoming. Like, he is going to help. Yeah, mentor, like you said before. Like he is gonna make her, and like I said, she remains my favorite character on this entire show. Every time, I can't help it. It's the greatest thing. She's just, every time she's on screen, I'm like, yes, the fucking Tilly scene. Like, let's do this.
Oh yeah, no, and she should, like, I mean, she is just a ray of sunshine, like when she comes on the screen. And even when it's in serious situations or she's being tough, or like even when she was like fucking Dog the Bounty Hunter fucking Tilly last season, like even when she was like super tough, she played that role great. And even with like the kind of like shittier dickish jokes she had to throw in there, they were still like Tilly jokes, you know what I'm saying?
So
like,
perfect.
Yeah, like it was like only she could have pulled that off. Like anybody else saying it, you would have just went, yeah, I get what you were trying to do. I understand it. It just didn't work.
Yep. All right, let's see. So Sarek and Michael have the conversation in her room. We see a flashback of Amanda reading Alice in Wonderland to Michael. Spock like watching like from just from the other room, like, damn, Spock, like, just he gets to be like little sulky Spock kid some more.
Yeah, I got the good son vibes going on.
Yeah, I know, right? And this is when Michael alludes to the fact that or Sarek alludes to the fact that there's something that she is not telling him about her and Spock's relationship. And he's like, I just like how Vulcan he is about it, where he's like, whenever you want to, say it, I'm here to listen. It was just like, so like, it wasn't like, you should just tell me. He's like, whenever you want to unburden yourself, I'm here, which is kind of cool. Yeah. Of him. So let's see. Then we're back on the bridge. They're warping towards the one location they want to check out. I do like Pike's where he has everybody introduce himself, and he's like, "Don't use your rank. Rank doesn't matter," which is kind of cool when it comes to his leadership style, because it's like everybody's got a voice as opposed to Lorca, who was like my way or the highway type thing. Mm-hmm. He is that boss who takes the door off the hinges to his office. Like that's what Pike is. Like he really is that guy. Now that you've mentioned it, I'm like, yeah, that's kind of what that was. And like I like how charming he is, because I like how he's like hollering out orders to everybody, like, hey, you scan this, you do that. He's like, Detmer, fly good to the one girl who's the navigation. That is great. But then, so they drop out of warp, and it's fucking Pandalarium, and the ship's getting rained by stuff, and there's gravity wells, and everything's going nuts, and they find the asteroid that's in the spot where whatever the signal was supposed to be, and they scan it and find a Federation ship, like, crash land on it. Pike didn't want to leave anybody. If there's even a chance of someone being left down there alive, Pike doesn't want to leave them there, of course. Their interference with the gravity well and with the asteroid, the ship being there causes it to like divert its path. So now where it was like flying around fine, now it's going to impact the pulsar in like 5 hours. So now it's like it's time limit shit. Like we got 5 hours to get these people to go down there and get back. You can't transport down there because the gravity shit would mess up. There's no pattern buffers, and it wouldn't be whatever, tech talk. We got to fly down there somehow. We can't use a standard shuttlecraft because of the gravity. And so all of a sudden, Michael, while first being cut off by Pike, which is good on her because she's still like, she starts saying it. He cuts her off when he thinks she's giving him more excuses of not doing it, like Saru was just listing off like, hey, look, the chances of someone being alive down there is like fucking 1 in 2 million. So we want to risk lives of our crew to go check what is more than likely a graveyard.
Well, I like how Saru also pointed out too. He's like, it is my duty. Like, I know he didn't word it that way, but basically like,
exactly. I
know you're going all gung ho and you may be getting a little overzealous for this rescue mission. I, in good conscience, am here to make sure you know the other side of the coin. Like,
and that's his job as first officer. That's his job. Hey, you give me the other side. You give me the argument to what I want to do, just so I can think of both sides. That's exactly right. What he should be doing is he first officer or is Burnham? And I think he is still. So because he's captain when Pike isn't. So, but there is a ship there, and they have these pods that Michael had actually been part of the test pilots to make these pods for some other mission to a planet that had gravity problems similar to what they're dealing with right now. So she's going down, Pike's going down, and his two that he brought on board, the engineer and the science officer, are going down. The science officer, who since we met him on the transporter pad, is a fucking dick.
Yo.
Like super dick. So
glad he bit the dust.
Yeah, they all get in their sexy shiny spacesuits, which I like how they also had like their colored spacesuits for the ones who were from the Enterprise. So like Burnham had her boring gray one on, and they all had like their red, yellow, and blue ones on. Yeah, it's like, okay, you get these, and then so they launch, and it's this is a great. I mean, each one of the episodes is supposed to. I mean, it's like a movie. Like it's just shit you could see if you go watch the Star Trek movies, like sci-fi movies. All the CG for this is great. So they're in the pods and they're shooting down. They're shooting down while also having enough time for Connolly, the science officer, and Burnham to have like an argument, and then like Pike to interject, and then the other guy to disobey a direct order from his captain. And while he's disobeying and explaining how awesome he is, get fucking schnookered by a goddamn asteroid.
Yeah. I'll tell you, like I told my college roommate or whatever it was, she was older too. Blah 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 blah. Wow.
Right.
Stupid fuck.
He's gone. His thing throws some shrapnel into Captain Pike's shuttle. So his is like, it's that whole thing. Like, I love any space thing where like you're in space and like you're in a bubble of pressurized glass, and it's like, here it is, and then you watch his eye like follow the crack from like where it impacted, just watch the crack grow bigger on his bubble, and he's like, fuck. I gotta get out of this thing.
Oh shit, 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 oh shit.
Right. Did I hook my shit tube up in this suit because I'm about to crap my pants? But so this is the part where he had asked the crew to trust him. It's still a new crew to him, so Michael is having to convince him. He's like, no, continue the mission, let me die. Like, and then she's like, no, I'll get you. He's like, I can't risk any more officers. And she's like, just fucking trust me. I will, Discovery has you. And then I like how she turns aside and she's like, you have him. We have him, right, ladies? To Detmer and Kwok-Choon, and they're like,
yeah, we got it.
that was, and I love how if you've watched it. But by the way, I didn't go through this at the beginning of the podcast, but I wanted anybody who's just finding us for the first time, welcome. I am the Trekkie. I am Clay. I am one of the two dads. Corey, who you've also been listening to, is not a Trekkie, but is a fan of good TV and good science fiction. So it's fun to hear his side of the story because you're not just getting like spoon-fed like super Star Trek nerd like I could do for hours and hours at a time.
Yeah,
so
I don't know nothing about nothing.
He doesn't know anything, but loved the first season and was able to critique it.
It was good TV, man. Like I enjoyed it. Like and it again, it's cool because to me it is super nerdy, but their writers have found a way to like humanize it and also make, I feel, just anybody understand. At least again, it's not understanding the science, but they can in their head put all the pieces together, however that may be, and that's how the show's filmed. So it's not even like where you're like, hey, you want to watch this sci-fi show, and you kind of instantly like start seeing calculations and things go off in your head, and you're like, I don't know if I want to get that. It's like, nah, man, you will laugh your ass off at the funny shit, and you're actually gonna get invested with these characters. But then the really cool ultra sciencey things, even when they're using words you don't understand, you're like, oh, okay, I get it. They're gonna take that little fast tubey thing and go down that way. Got it. All right, understood. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's a show that, because people some shows miss that, like it's almost too smart, and you go, well, unless you know what the fuck it is, like none of this shit means anything to anybody.
I couldn't say it any better. That you are, and it is this, as TV has evolved, this iteration of Star Trek is funnier, but not just for the sheer fact of being funny. It just doesn't show a bunch of people who have it all their shit together. Like, and that's what I was getting at. The whole reason of me like wanting to tell your and my backstory when it comes to Star Trek is that I liked the girls' reaction that you could literally tell that the two navigation and I forget what the other, what one is navigation and one is something else. I forget. I know, just, at me on Twitter. I don't give a shit. I'm sorry. But yeah, they didn't know if they had him either. Like, you could tell that they were like, yeah, sure, we'll fucking figure it out in the next 30 seconds. Like, we got this. Like, I like seeing that on the bridge because for past iterations of Star Trek, everybody's always got their shit together. You know what I'm saying? They're like, yep, I can do it. Here it goes. There's nothing the captain can ask me to do that I don't automatically go, yep, I know exactly what you want me to do. Let me go do that for you.
Yeah.
Like, these girls are like,
I remember in some of the Star Trek episodes that I've have watched, not can watch, like I can watch these ones.
Yeah.
No, that I have watched. You're right. Like, even when it was hard times and you have like the scenes of like Scotty yelling and shit, it was still more like you knew they were gonna get it done, right? Like it was just like something that they were just gonna do. Like in this show, at least it kind of, for the most part, it's gonna work out. But the characters that are doing it, when you're watching it unfold, it gives you that kind of like more realistic vibe to it. Like, yeah, that's probably
Right.
that's probably how that would go down, you know, if that was happening, or just some of the kind of like times you laugh in the show when they're talking or something, you know, and you go, yeah, even if I was on a spaceship and all this serious shit was coming down, but you know, I ran into you on the bridge and you said something to me, you know, like, yes, that's exactly what I would mumble back or kind of say to you quickly in return, because it was just the fucking smart ass comment that needed to be said, you know. And it's like, yeah, they do it right. Like I said, they find a way to make the really cool science, like, they humanize it, you know. So even though you're not completely, you know, Einstein with it, you're feeling it still. You're like, oh man, I get the emotion that's getting packed into this one. Oh shit.
Yeah, and even during all this craziness, like you said, like Saru's in the command chair, like his threat ganglia pop out, and he looks over to the
really?
guy who's
What do you
standing in Burnham
expect?
Station, and he's like, yeah, really? Are you surprised? So of course this shit popped out, man. I got a fear boner going. Leave me alone. It's fine. Let's see. So anyways, the girls do figure it out, and they fire her thrusters as she catches him after they both eject from their pods. And they fire it like at the exact perfect second to not have them impale themselves on the surface of the asteroid, which is full of spikes.
Yeah, I have a little
shit.
quip with that. Like, I know they were taking in all the calculations and blah, 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 blah. And what I thought they were going to do is, you know, when you see those guys like do the bumping shit and they jump down, and then like right as the slack in the line and everything builds up, and they're about to spring back up, they release it, so they just like walk right to the ground. Like, I thought that's what they were gonna do with it, like, so that they turned it on and then she just like, woo, and then they cut it off, so she just barely took any impact on the ground instead of like being shot off and whisked and hovered over you know, those spiky rocks and stuff. And I was like, oh man, I totally thought they were gonna kind of pull like the bungee jump trick, but from space. You know, I was like, oh, that was fucking crazy.
Right? Or like how Aquaman rode that one bad guy like through that entire building and just kind of rode his body through it and just like walked away, like just walked off of him.
Yeah, like that kind of shit. Or like when in Red, in Bruce Willis, when he gets out of the
still
car
love that
and
fucking
it spins.
scene.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I thought they were gonna do something like that instead of like Superman save to be whisked back up, you know, like pull up.
Yes, that's some whiplash in that friggin' catch right there. So anyways.
Well, that's what I instantly thought. And like I said,
I was like I'd be in traction for a week after that save.
Yeah.
There's no finish to the mission. Just get me back up. I need to go lay down somewhere. Okay, so now everybody's landed. Everybody's fine. You have, well, not everybody. Connolly's dead, but the captain's there. His engineer is there. And Burnham is there. So they find the wreckage. They rappel down after being greeted by a talking, floating security drone type thing. It walks them back, and we meet Commander Jet Reno, played by Tig Notaro, who is a comedian and pretty friggin' funny and has some decent shows under her name. And yeah, she plays a really good in your face but like to the point joke style. I'd like to see her.
You know,
I'd like to see her and Ellen like go back and forth. Like, that seems like that would be the funniest shit you've ever seen. The way those two deliver comedy in the kind of the same fashion, and I feel like it would be like you'd be pissed on yourself by the time it was over.
DeGeneres? Is that who you're talking about?
Yeah. Is there any other Ellen? Come on.
Well, no, but I was just making sure. I was like, is there an Ellen character on this show?
No. I'm just talking about the two comedians. Yeah. No, I feel like the way that she delivers is kind of complimentary to the way that Ellen does. Yeah,
but I feel like Ellen would be the person that wanted to go to a rap battle, and our good what is she, engineer, was the person that like was in the rap battle. Like, I feel like her jokes aren't rainbowy enough. Like she would just be, it would just almost be unfair. You'd be like, well, either you're gonna think that she's just killing her, or you're gonna go, well, dude, stop being so fucking mean. Like I don't think they could joke the same way.
Maybe I'm completely off then.
But I'm also just basing it off this character here.
True. We meet her character, who is Commander Jet Reno. They have been crash landed there for 10 months and 11 days, and she makes the quip that if, I guess you guys aren't speaking Klingon, so I guess we won. Burnham tells her there's been an armistice, and they need to get people out of there, and they end up jump-starting the transporter room on the Hiawatha, which is the name of the ship that was crash landed. I'm not sure if I said that earlier. I don't think I did. But so they get all... Oh, and not to mention the fact that Jet Reno is an engineer, but she, saved 6 or 7 crew members by doing engineering things to bodies.
Yes, the body's a machine, isn't it?
Yeah, I love that. So she's saved a handful of officers from this crash. They get them all transported. They're all good to go. And it's of course, it's the standard. It's these tropes that you can read a mile wide, because Burnham has the engineer they brought with them run out and still install the transporter buffers, the enhancement buffers for the transporting, in case they weren't going to have an actual working transporter pad on that end. And they're really just plot buffers. So when it's all they really were, so Burnham could get blown out of the room and then still be further away and still be able to get transported out of there later on. So that's what they really were doing, was allowing the rest of the scene. So they get everybody transported, and as Burnham, as they're getting ready to do the last transport with Burnham and Pike and everybody else, something blows. She runs to fix it, and then as it fixes and the transporter starts to crank up, an explosion happens, blowing her through the door to the transporter room, and Pike and them all disappear. And so she has to haul ass, which was cool, because she's she just once again trusting her team on the ship. She hits her comm, and she's like, I don't know if you can hear me, but fucking track me, because I'm running out of here, because the whole place is going up. And she, I like how you can voice command your helmet to come on. You have to push the button for it to come off, but you can voice command it on. So her helmet, she gets her helmet, and then like there's an explosion that throws her away, and she wakes up from being unconscious with like a red hot burning piece of fucking like ship in her leg. And like she just, I mean, she was not too happy. Little she screamed. Like I almost feel like they actually added, like they actually did something with the audio of her scream to make it sound more like a roar almost. Like there was something that wasn't just like human to her reaction.
Yeah, it was probably super enhanced, but like
you're also in really fuck ton of pain.
Yeah, I've also never had like a plane blade through my leg or
it was red
anything. Yeah, that was I've never been steel working, and had a rivet fall down my fucking pants and through my thigh or some shit like that.
Yeah.
But even though like just to bring up your kind of point about the scream, like she's seeing those weird red angel things.
Yeah, that's the next that's the other part of the overarching plot is this red angel thing.
So wouldn't be surprised if she's also got some other kind of like, Space Lord kind of shit in there where it's like, well, you are part Terran, but you also got all this other cosmic goo shit in you too.
Star-Lord, that's funny. She tries to, and we mentioned this earlier, so Pike become like her hallucination of the Red Angel like becomes Pike, so he's come back for her via the pattern buffers, and grabs her, has the Enterprise beam him out, but she tries to grab a piece of the rock, like because Tilly had told her that we did mention this earlier, but Tilly had told her earlier before she left that when they first got near the asteroid, all of the spores went nuts.
Yeah, she said all the spores went nuts, and she kind of gave her like a thing to collect a sample. Right,
and so Burnham, remembering at the last second to grab a sample, she grabs a piece of the asteroid as they transport away, and it falls through her hand. So we talked about what comes next. Tilly comes to see her in the sick bay, and they both determine that it's not standard matter, so it could be something crazy and new and awesome science stuff. So they decide to catch an asteroid with the back of the ship. Like, all right, we're just going to find this thing and we're just going to back this thing up. Just back it on up. Just grab it with a thing. So like Tilly gets this, like, I just like her as she leaves sickbay. She's like, I need this, and it's in engineering. And then like Stamets like sees her like on like a Tilly beeline, and he's like, oh, that looks fun. And just like kind of follows her.
His squirrel. All right.
I'll go with it.
Yeah.
I do have to admit, like the gravity simulator they were using, the deployment of that thing, where they're like, I feel like there's no OSHA in the Federation because they called for like everybody to clear her out as the goddamn like legs were all deploying, and it's like that could have just like fucking crushed. There was like literally somebody right there a second ago.
Yeah, right.
Cool.
Like, yeah, I would love to see their like no accidents in this many days, like fucking thing on the wall somewhere, because that thing's always got to be damn near 0 to 2.
Yep. And this is also the part where Stamets, like, he brings something they needed for the kit they're putting together or whatever, and he mentions that he may find some other research to throw himself into. So I feel like they are just they're setting us at ease that while he has accepted this Vulcan Science Academy job, that he hasn't. They're pretty much, the writers are saying, don't worry, he's not going anywhere, because he had already said earlier that he wasn't leaving until this mission was done. But now that he has this new sciencey thing to work on, he may stay around longer type thing. So, you know, he's not going anywhere. He's main cast. He's going to get over it. He's going to find Hugh, or he's going to be, you know, satisfied with his ending with you, or get his closure he needs or whatever. And he's going to stay on Discovery and have some more sciencey stuff to do.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I agree with all
Yeah,
that.
I don't know if I feel like I was like, I expect him to be that way. I don't know if I needed the whole Caecilian opera sadness that they showed us earlier. If you're just going to, you didn't, I mean, they went into it for so long. I mean, it was a fairly long and drawn out scene of him, like, completely ignoring what Tilly was telling him and talking about the fucking opera and talking about Hugh. And we know you're grieving, dude. Like, just, and then for it to just be like, I may find something more sciencey to do. Like, but that's how you're going to, like, I felt like if you're going to play me that long in the first of the episode, like, don't make me happy by the end of it. Like, let me, like, drag it on, make me wonder if he's going to actually stay around or not.
Well, I mean, technically we still don't know. I mean,
true,
but
we know.
Yeah, but that's what you're supposed to feel like. You know, like when he was talking about the opera, like he was also like explaining how he finally understands it. So like there's like, I mean, you know, if you really want to get into it, there's all kinds of context and things that are going into that little conversation that's happening, especially given like what we think is gonna happen. Like he's understanding, you know, Stu, like what I think he's doing is he's basically essentially building Stu in his head. Right? Stu's his name, right? Am I right?
Hugh Culber.
Hugh. There we go.
It's okay.
Like, I think when they say stuff like, you know, how he's like, I finally understand it. Like, that's really clues to where he's at with what we kind of think he's going to do. You know, go be Dr. Frankenstein and try to get this out. I think you're going to hear him say more stuff like that about things that he tried to get him to do, or wanted him to always be part of, that he just kind of knew wasn't his thing and stuff like that. Because, you know, he always made the comment, he's like, I love it when you do it, even though, you know, or because you only do it for me. Or like, I sure love it when you do things only for me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, I think those kind of conversations, or him mumbling kind of to himself when he's daydreaming and stuff, you're going to see more. And each time it's really just kind of a screen indicator for the audience. I feel like if they put it together, that he's getting closer to what he's doing. So he figured out that opera that, you know, that was going on. And then now that he's got this thing that Tilly found, it's like the opera that he's got going in his head now is being opened back up. You know, it's playing again and stuff. So just that whole school thing, they're going to be like, I guarantee almost it'll be one of these things where they go, well, what about, you know, the fucking Science Academy or whatever? And he'll go, oh, I've called them and told him I can't do it. This is more important. And it'll just like, cause that's how he is, you know, and it'll just be done with it.
That makes sense. So in a scene that isn't super important, but there is one part that I want to point out because it's kind of like fan service. Pike is in the ready room, in the captain's ready room, and Burnham and him are talking. But before she comes in, he picks up a old fortune off the floor from when Lorca had his fucking bowl of fortune cookies there. And he reads it. No, we don't see it at that point. Then him and Burnham have a conversation about how the room sucks, there's nowhere to sit, and how he wants to have his officers feel like they can come in and have a conversation with him and, all that good stuff. So they leave to go have a conversation elsewhere. And he puts the fortune down on the desk, on the desk, where he was standing. And the fortune says, "Not every cage is a prison, nor every loss eternal." You won't know this because you're not as Trekkie like I am, but the original pilot episode of the original series that was filmed didn't have Kirk in it. It didn't have any of the characters we know except Spock. And the Spock that was in that episode, that original pilot, was way more emotive than he should have been. He wasn't, they hadn't even figured out that Vulcans don't show a lot of emotion, and they're all logic based and stuff. He's smiling and shit in it, but that being said, the episode is titled The Cage, and the plot of it is Captain Pike is held prisoner and tested by aliens who have the power to project incredibly lifelike illusions. So he's in a cage. He's being held in his cage, and if you've ever seen whenever someone shows you or whenever they you see a picture when they talk about the original series and they show the aliens, it's the ones with the big ass heads, little tiny big ass heads. That's the aliens, and they're able to it's pretty much just like VR, but in real life. They can just project it into your mind and you can live it and see things that they want you to see. So the big reveal is that the girl he's been put in there with to breed, they want them to breed. It's like a zoo for real. It's like a zoo for humans. They want them to breed with the girl. He sees her as this incredibly gorgeous, beautiful thing. But once the aliens let down the shield, the blinders they put up on him, she's actually she was in a ship that crash landed years and years ago. She's way older, and parts of her are from other parts of other people. They have put her back together the best they knew how, but they don't know what humans look like, type thing. So she's all sorts of fucked up, and that's what. So not every cage is a prison. So that what it alludes to is later on in another episode of the original series. Pike has been wounded and injured in some sort of battle where he is burned badly and stuck in a futuristic wheelchair. He can't do anything but make a button. He can't do anything but move himself in the wheelchair by whatever, because all you see is him from shoulders up. All you see is just his head and the top of his shoulders. The rest of him is enclosed in this wheelchair. He can make it move, and he can light up a fucking light. One blink for yes, two blinks for no type thing.
Yeah.
And he is the whole point of it. He's trying to get back. That planet that they landed on in the cage, that episode, has been quarantined by Starfleet, so no one goes near it because we know they just want to experiment on humans, and they can do their mind powers are too much for us to be able to understand or control or know that it's happening to us, because you don't know that you're not. Unless you're aware that you're on a different planet already, if they just show up, they can show you shit you never know that you weren't actually seeing it.
Yeah, they could pop up outside of your house and you go to walk into the school bus and it's a cliff. A cliff, or their spaceship and you're whisked away and you have no wiser than knowledge. Yeah, I got you. Okay.
Right. So they've quarantined that planet and he wants to go back to it to live his life, the rest of his life as
their guinea pig, but under the spell.
And he could, so what happens is at the end of the court case, and it's cool because they use this episode to kind of show you all the clips from the original pilot episode, because it was never aired until it was put together years later. But so they did that, and so at the end of the episode, he goes back, and then you see him and her reunited, and he's seeing that he's in his mind, he's walking with her and they run off together and they enjoy the rest of their life together as normal functioning, beautiful people. So I'm guessing it's kind of it's speaking to the pilot, which would have happened before this episode we're on right now, because that was during that 5-year mission. So the pilot happened, then he comes to Discovery, and then he gets injured in the future later on, and then goes back to the planet. So this fortune is kind of like puts that spark in his mind, like it may be a cage, but it's not necessarily a prison. Like it could be good, and so that's everywhere I've read, and it's like the only comment in like IMDb on this episode is talking about like that alludes to the cage and what the first pilot was named and all that stuff. So it's just kind of it's one of those like really, if you know your stuff, you're gonna get it type thing. Trekkie nerd stuff.
One of those very well thought out Easter eggs.
Very well thought out. So they walk the hallways. She asks him if Spock told him why they don't have a relationship, why her and Spock don't have a relationship. And this is where she says that she's the reason. I'm the reason we don't have a relationship, Captain Pike. I'm the reason, Burnham says. You know what I'm saying? And she wants to go to the Enterprise to see him because she still doesn't know that he's not there. And this is when Pike tells him he's not there. We get the explanation of questions that were asked during season 1 that why was the Enterprise not in the Battle of the Binary Stars, and it's like the figurehead of the fleet right now, and it was nowhere for the whole war. And we learned that their 5-year mission at that point, they were so far out they couldn't have made it back in time to fight the war. That's how far out the Enterprise was on its mission, exploring, doing its thing. So, and Pike talks about how it took a toll on the crew. Pike also explains that there was a shift in Spock a few months ago, and that tying into what we find out at the very end of the episode means that Spock knew about the signal happening before it was going to happen. The 7 stars or the 7 locations showing themselves. Mm-hmm. Like if something was already bothering him 2 months ago, let's just get to it. She says, I want to go aboard the Enterprise anyways, which really means I want to go breaking and entering into my stepbrother's room.
Yeah, I was really surprised that they let that happen.
Yeah, sure,
like I was expecting him to say no, but he's like, yeah, sure, go rifle through your brother's shit that you haven't talked to in a couple years. That seems like a good idea.
Yep. So we know the best part is like I like the shot they did where like she was standing at the window and then it just flashed and she was on the Enterprise. Like, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. And so now we all know the best part is like all of us nerds like, we're going to get to see the Enterprise again. Like, she's going to go on the bridge. Like, we're going to get to see the interior of the Enterprise. But right now, they only showed us, like, one hallway, which was, like, if you remember the old series, it was red and gray walls. Not like these are, but it's, like, it has that homage to how the original series Enterprise looked. But you can definitely tell it's different than the Discovery, and it's a lot more colorful, which is just, it just seems like, I like how much more hippier, like, they have the bright uniforms and the colorful ship, and the Discovery's, like, blue uniforms, gray walls, but it's each other is coveting the other or whatever. So I thought that was funny.
Yeah, but that's like when you're in college and you're at your university or your high school long enough, and you're like, oh man, there are no pretty people here, and then you go to your buddy's campus or something, and you're like jaws on the floor because you're like, where in the hell did all of these attractive people come from? Like, oh my God. And they're like, really, dude? And then they go visit you and they're like, dude, you have so many hot people everywhere. And you're like, huh? The fuck are you talking about?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she goes into Spock's quarters. A couple things that we see there. One of them on the thing, the Vulcan lyre. It's a harp. It's a fucking harp. But it's one of the things he plays throughout the original series. So it was kind of a callback there, but also, of course, he would have it in his room. The bells thing, I have to do some more research for that. Like the bells display that she touches. I want to say that was during the Ponfar episode where Spock has to want to have sex real bad, which is an episode. Every 7 years, the Vulcans get all hot and bothered. All I can think about is boning, and it's a fucking, and that or killing people. Like him and Kirk like fight to the death. Like it's pretty awesome. But I'm pretty sure now that I think about it, that bell thing is what the the big hoity-toity Vulcan lady that was presiding over the ceremony was holding during it, but I could be completely wrong. So I'm going to verify that, and I'll come back next week and fill you in on that. But she makes a point to go touch the bells, and then she sees the screen that we all know he used to use as a kid. She knows as well because she was at the house. And so she listens to a message from Spock, like a personal log. And there's almost like the way he recorded the log is almost like she has like a realization while he's talking. So he almost left that for her. Like he knew she would find it, especially since he has spoken to the captain about her before, because he mentions when they first meet, he said you were smart. Like stupid smart. Like, you know what I'm saying? When Captain Pike first met her. So during his recording of what he's talking about and talking about his nightmares he had as a kid, and his mom told him to like draw your nightmares so it can't have any power over you. And so she's like, wait a second, let me see what this is. So she starts loading whatever file he drew in there and then throws them up, and it's the 7-star location spots from the event that happened. And the 7 anomalies that were all that's the overarching thing of the season. It's like, oh, so Spock knew about those like months before it was going to happen. So yeah, that's going to be, Spock is still a mystery to us right now.
Probably stay a mystery for a while.
I don't know. I mean, the fact they didn't drop him on us right away.
I don't mean that like we're not going to see him, but like everything about him is going to be like, as a viewer the whole time you're going to go, come on. Mm-hmm. Come on, like we all know it's there. Like, let's go, get it out. Yeah, get it out.
I give him credit for not showing us Spock right away, because we're all like, everybody, Trekkies are like, okay, let's see how this guy does Spock, and they're like, no, we're gonna give you Pike. That's all you're getting this episode though, because we also know the big thing about the Cage episode from the original series is that the first officer on the bridge was a female. They only called her name was number 1 in the pilot, and she's played by Michelle Barrett Roddenberry, which we all know who that is. But she was cast for this season of Discovery also, so we'll meet her as well. I'm guessing her and Burnham will probably talk at some point, and it's actually being played by Rebecca Romaine, so she's playing number 1 for this season. She has some. I doubt she'll be in very many scenes because she'll stay on the Enterprise, but I think she'll probably have 1 or 2 episodes that she'll be in. And then they also we've got Pike number 1 and Spock, who were cast this year, that we as Trekkies know who they are from the past. So I like they didn't just drop 2 new ones on us right away. They're like, no, you have Pike this episode, and we'll get to Spock in a little bit. We'll let Spock be a mystery for a while, because I bet you we don't even see Spock next episode. Probably not.
Yeah, man. That's because fucking drug dealers got the best fucking selling mentality, man. First hit's free, buddy. First hit's free. It's like, there's Pike. You want to see Spock? Stick around. Come back.
Yeah. Well, we're all coming back. We're all hooked. It's fine. All of us who are listening to this are in it for the long haul. We'll watch whatever you watch whatever you give to us. I'll watch anything. I just like having Star Trek on TV again. And I'm glad that people like you are actually, it's enjoyable for not just us uber Trekkie nerd people.
Yeah, man, I like it. It's a good show.
They do well. I'm real impressed, and I look forward to it. So, but that's it. That's episode 1. Star Trek Discovery Season 2, man. That's great. I'm glad it's back. It took a little bit longer than a standard season. So I'm glad it's back.
I'm glad you are very excited. You were cheesing very hard, just kind of like talking about it.
Yeah, I can't wait. So yeah, next episode 2, we'll review next week. If you just found us, thanks for the listen, and make sure you subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts and turn on notifications for this episode, for this show. It'll be pretty consistent. You'll get it most Mondays, I would assume, unless something drastic happens with someone being sick. But
someone being sick? No, you can say me. It's
whenever
cool.
You're sick.
I'm the one with the problem. It's cool.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. He's right. So it's okay though. I appreciate that you're here.
I am glad that you may not appear like a flexible man, but you have bent more ways than I can count to help me out, so I truly appreciate
it. Yeah, well, no problem, man. All right, so we will catch you guys next week. Thanks for listening, and see you then.
See you guys.